Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Our guest is no stranger to listeners of the podcast. Not only has he been a frequent contributor to our listener mail segment, but he's also a winner of one of our past giveaways. Please welcome Benji Pearson to the show. Hi, Benji.
Hey,
Hi there.
Benji.
Hi.
Woo.
Yay.
Welcome.
I love my mug. It's my favorite one.
All right.
We're glad I got you. I'm not sure if it was yours or someone else's that I sent out that I'm pretty sure I broke it as I was putting it into like the receptacle at the post office. So I didn't realize that it went down so far. So I just like put it into the hole and let go, and just like it's like, oh, okay. Well, and I didn't hear back from that person, and it wasn't you.
No,
so
mine
that's
definitely did not break.
great.
good.
That's awesome.
Use it.
Well, thank you
Good
so
to
much.
know.
Thank you so much for coming on. When we were kind of originally coming up with people that we wanted to try to have on the podcast for these episodes, we absolutely wanted to have you on. I feel like besides the two of us, you've probably been mentioned more than anyone else here. So
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just listened to a few episodes and then decided to write an email. And as I was typing, the questions just kept coming out.
honestly, all your emails, every time I got one was like, oh, great. Because that meant I didn't have to like try to like coerce people to send us questions. So I didn't have to like make any weird like Photoshop things to put on Instagram to ask for people to send questions. So it was nice that you did that. I appreciate it.
That's one of the reasons that I like to write to all the different podcasters, is to give them more content so that these great Christmas podcasts can be more available.
Yeah, we all
That's
greatly
my thing.
appreciate that. It's super helpful, especially in the months like these where we couldn't be further from Christmas. But the intention is that if people aren't listening to it now, they could possibly just kind of binge them all in December. So
Yep.
That's what we're doing it. That's why we're here. The first segment, let's get right into our talk. The first segment, we like to get to know our guest. We start off with a segment called What's Your New York City Connection? More or less what it is, which the nutshell of it is everyone's sort of connected to New York City somehow, whether it's they lived here, they have relatives that lived here, they visited, they've wanted to visit. So do you have anything that may be a New York City connection?
So I've been thinking about this since I kind of knew this question.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm the youngest of 10 kids, and when one of my sisters was getting married, she, met this guy. I was little, like 10, and they were 20s. And she met this guy who I just loved, and they were dating for a long time, and then they finally told me that they were going to get married, and I was so excited, like, yes, he's going to be my brother-in-law. That's awesome. And then they told me that they're moving to New York City, and I'm like, no, they're moving far away, and they've been there for 25 years now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So my sister, she moved to New York when I was a kid, and so they would always, tell me how great it is there, and except for I remember one time, she was telling me about her New York experience when she had just moved there, and they moved to the first place they lived was Hell's Kitchen. And
Okay.
this was in mid 90s,
Okay.
and so it was
That
kind of a
says a
scary
lot.
place. And I remember she told me that she passed out on the street, and he had a scar on his face that he had stitched up with himself with like yarn. And so that was my
Aw.
image of New York City for a long time. That coupled with, because I just imagined her neighborhood was like that scene in Home Alone 2 where Kevin's walking along down the street, at night, and someone says, "You looking for someone to read you a bedtime story?" And then he gets in the cab and he says, "It's scary out there." And the cab driver says, "Not much better in here, kid." And like, that was my image. That's all that New York was to me for years and years. And then when I was in high school, I had this opportunity to go on a field trip to New York, which is a big deal. I mean, Utah.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's far away. So I was in this interior design program, and so I earned money selling cookbooks, and was able to get to New York. We went with this group, and it was so much fun. It was not at all like that. I mean, this was 10 years later, so it was a little different, but
Yeah.
it was such a fun experience. We had a tour guide who took us on all the major sites, and I don't know, I have no idea where I was any of the time. but I loved it all.
Fun.
And so when I listen to you guys talk about it, I think about kind of those two things mixed. And that field trip was just before Christmas. It was like
Oh,
we
nice.
had we got off for school break and then went for the field trip or Christmas break and then came back right at Christmas. So it was New York was just totally Christmas for me. I loved it. And that's New York. For me.
That's an
Nice.
awesome.
In my mind, it's always like that.
That's a great field trip.
Me
by the
too.
way.
Me too.
It was an
Yeah, that's
awesome-
great. I had a high school field trip here too. That was my first time here, and I was in theater, so it was the same idea. Like, where do you go when you love theater? You go to New York. You know, it's a kind of the same idea. And
And I did
yeah,
theater in high school, so yeah, it was,
yeah, it's the
awesome.
same thing. So coming to see Broadway shows, it was
Mhm.
just magical.
it was.
There's definitely some of the other stuff sprinkled in here too. But I think that's what makes it New York, and I think that's why people love it too, because you never really know what you're going to get around each corner. You know.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Dog-sized rats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just small dog sized rats. And they only come out at night, and they come out during the daytime, then they're rabid, and that's a whole other thing. So moving on, next segment is called Christmas Time in Your City.
Yeah. So this is about where you celebrate and what happens in your own hometown. So give us a little bit of information on how you guys celebrate the holidays in Utah, parades. Do you have lighted neighborhoods? What do you do there? What makes it
Yeah.
exciting there?
So I thought of three things. That's okay.
Perfect.
The first one is just where I grew up. I was in Provo, Utah, and mostly what I remember, like the city didn't really do anything until I found out later they did. But my area of the city didn't do anything. We just did Christmas lights, and I would drive around, or one of my siblings or parent would drive me around looking at Christmas lights, and now I do that with my kids.
Cool.
So that's the first thing. I later found out, like I said, that they actually do a Christmas tree lighting like in the main part of downtown, but we never went to it. I don't know why. And then up in Salt Lake City, which is about an hour from me, there's what's called Temple Square, where they have tons and tons of Christmas lights, and then they have a bunch of nativities. They're like life-size nativities set up all over this area, and they're like nativities from different countries. So there'll be like a Korean nativity and an African nativity, and just from all these different cultures. It's really neat to see.
That's awesome.
But in my city where I live now, it's called Spanish Fork. They do what's called the Festival of Lights. So on Black Friday, there's a lights parade at night, and then the Festival of Lights opens up, and there's this park that has all these dancing lights. It's just a drive through. I think a lot of cities have them, but it's really big in our city, and a lot of people come from around the area to come here. And we live just down the street from it, so we get to go a few times a season to go to that. So those are my big things.
Those are great.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Festival of Lights, no matter where you're
Yeah.
right.
And we just happen
great.
to be by the closest one or by the biggest one that's kind of in the area.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Some of my favorite moments when I was growing up were spending the holidays at my grandparents' house in the suburbs of Chicago. And I remember specifically what we would do around, like as we got closer and closer to Christmas, we would go out and drive around, and there was Toy Soldier Lane and all these like kind of themed little areas that were just like really, really fun looking streets. And that's like one of my favorite memories as a kid of going out. And I remember at one point, like my uncles went in separate cars and ended up being this weird game of like hide and go seek in their neighborhood that they had lived their entire life. So they knew it like the back of the palm of their hand or something. And we were just kind of just running around looking at lights, and it's one of my favorite memories. Absolutely. And the fact that it's around Christmas is even better.
Yeah, I think that those kind of or not organized traditions can be a lot of fun, and where it's the city that, or not necessarily a city, but individuals that are putting those lights up.
Yeah,
maybe just little pockets of neighborhoods.
It seems much more community driven as opposed to like some like a surplus of money or something that the government may have.
Yes.
I don't want to sound jaded, but that's what I think of when I think of stuff like that. So I like to see people, communities coming together for that kind of stuff. So I lean towards that stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right. So no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, talking about New York experience, that like I've told you before, that's where I learned the word jaded.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know that was
Yeah.
a thing before, but I definitely learned it in New York.
It's funny.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember when you asked that, like I thought about it for like probably a week or so, and I was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I
But-
thought about it too because I feel like I just knew that word, but it might just be because we're here.
Maybe.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
people just kept saying, "Oh, they're so jaded," or "I'm feeling so jaded about this or that," and I didn't know what they meant. Like I really had never heard the word before.
It's so fun.
But this is a long time ago. But
Yeah.
Even so. Yeah, but it is interesting. But yeah, that we're New York City's full of jaded people.
everywhere can be when you start to look around.
Yeah, which is nice when things like the holidays come around. It's kind of rejuvenate you and make you appreciate being here. We're sort of coming now to the end of this pretty miserable year and a half or so, and the idea of going back out to museums and stuff and doing kind of things in the community are really exciting to us. Especially that we have a little one. It's nice, the idea that we can go do that stuff still. So like those are the things that make me happy to be a New Yorker. So, in addition to all the Christmas stuff, there's so much culture and museums and things here to do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move right along to our next segment. This is Neighborhood Watch.
This is my favorite
Oh
section.
boy.
So I've been working on an abbreviated explanation for this. More or less, it's 2 truths and a lie. I have an app on my phone called the Citizen app. Basically, it gives me notifications when there are any 911 calls or anything that happens. I have it set to not emergency stuff, so I don't have to get like horrible news all the time on my phone. And for the most part, all I get are the fun ones. So I've compiled a bunch of them. I'll be reading 2 that are real, 1 that I've made up. Your job, Ben, is to tell me which one I made up. Here we go. Number 1. 2 on inflatable goose in East River. Number 2. 15 vicious birds attacking passerbys. And number 3. Man charging smart car with street light.
So it's not like when you just changed the number. It wasn't actually 14.
No. The idea that it's 15 too is interesting.
Yeah.
That was the one that spoke to me. Really, was the what was I didn't even hear the rest of it.
The 15 vicious birds attacking passerbys.
Passersby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could have said, "Oh, it's about 15," but I'm gonna go with that one.
That one is true.
So you got it
Nice.
wrong.
Yeah, the one I made up. The one I made up was a man charging a smart car with a street light.
Mhm.
I've seen
Had I
people.
thought about that one more.
I've seen people charging their cell phones and stuff on with those before, and that's where that kind of came from. And
Yeah.
the
How do you
inflatable.
charge it? Do they
You
have
could
outlets?
there's a little door on the bottom of the streetlights that I think I don't think it's an actual outlet, but I think if you're capable of doing some light wiring, maybe you could figure out how to
You've
charge your
seen people
phone.
do that.
I
Oh,
have
yeah.
seen people do
Plenty
it
of
before.
times.
Really?
Mhm.
So much so that now in the city they have like a
Like
lot of
charging
times
stations.
it's where the old payphones used to be. They'll have like charging stations where you can just go plug your phone in. The only
Mhm.
downside is that you're like you have to stand there while it's charging.
Stand there.
Yeah. But if you really need to make a phone call, you can do that.
Yeah. Good idea.
But yeah, the
Ooh,
15 vicious birds, that was quoted in the call. So someone either counted out or just guesstimated.
It's really strange that they knew exactly how many.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets to that amount of birds. Like,
Yeah.
I
After
just-
after
it's-
4, it's just a lot, you know?
yeah,
It's
a
just
lot of
lot
birds. Yeah.
And then the 2 on inflatable goose, that's just I guess people can do that if they really want to. Recently I saw in Central Park people floating on rafts out there. I saw like on Instagram or something. I'm not sure
Oh,
the
wait.
legalities of that. I didn't see them get like carted away or anything, but I'm pretty sure you can't swim there. So I have to,
No, I don't
I have
think
to
so.
investigate that.
I know in some cities like that, like in Boston, you can't rent them, but they have boats, like little paddle boats. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that you could.
Yeah, that's what they have in
the
Central
boats
Park,
Central
too.
Park. Mhm.
Mhm.
They do
But
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, I've never, for someone to bring their own like floating device out there seems strange.
And honestly, I don't think they were even rafts. I think they were like inflatable mattresses
Mhm.
based on the picture that I
Oh.
saw.
Yeah,
So,
that's not good.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
dangerous.
yeah, there's all kinds of things wrong with it. So
Yes.
don't do that.
Okay.
So the first one, incorrect. Let's move on to number 2. Here we go. First one is report of storefront umbrella duel. Number 2, Parmesan cheese shakers stolen from restaurant. And number 3, coyote in building.
I can believe all of those.
Yeah.
But I have a harder time believing in the coyote. I don't know why. It's probably going to throw me off. But that's what I'm going to go with, the coyote.
Unfortunately, that one is also incorrect. It's so weird here. Like there's coyotes come in from the Bronx and up through upstate. So they'll end up coming in. It's bizarre as anything.
Really?
I have no
Yeah.
idea how it happens so frequently, but like every once in a while you'll hear, and they won't get really past, I would say like Central Park. Like I've heard them like through like Harlem, and then like they'll be in Central Park a little bit, but they don't really last too long. Animal control comes and gets them away. But I guess somehow I would imagine, I don't know where this took place, but I imagine it was probably in the Bronx or like North Manhattan.
Is there like forested areas there?
Yeah,
Mhm.
up New York State is heavily forested, so like if they make it down that
Yeah.
then they could possibly get it's a long walk for sure. It's
I
it's
just imagine the Bronx being like Newsies, so I don't think of any forest. Like, I mean, I know upstate New York is, but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, that's
The
crazy.
there's areas of the Bronx that are very much like you assume the Bronx would be, and the other areas that you would be incredibly surprised by how like lush and open it is, which is bizarre.
Mhm.
We had
Yeah.
a coyote in Salt Lake City once. It was just lying dead in front of our house. Which was
Oh,
weird.
strange. That's really weird. Like,
Yeah.
where did you come from, and why are you dead? Like,
It
what
was-
happened?
It was a horrible Roadrunner accident.
It was really strange.
Apparently.
have pictures of it,
Roadrunner run that one. So which ones were true then? We have the report of the storefront umbrella duel, which I
Umbrella
think that's pretty
duel,
funny. I'd love
yeah.
to have seen that.
I've seen that twice come up.
Oh,
Yeah.
So umbrellas are the weapon.
2 different versions of umbrella duels. So I had to get that in there so I can not write that down anymore
Yeah.
in my little notepad, because that's pretty nuts. But
Yeah,
umbrella
sorry.
duels, so yeah, whatever. I
But
don't
they're
know.
they're calling the police on these duels. I guess that's what I
Yeah,
think
that's that is interesting.
Yeah.
And then the
I
other
gue-
one
it must have
is-
gotten violent.
yeah.
Well, if maybe they're using the small ones that had a little button and it just pops out.
Maybe.
Maybe see, we're thinking it's like 3 Musketeers, but maybe it's not
Yeah.
like that.
That's
Yes.
exactly what I was picturing, like a sword.
Hey, I just remembered another New York memory that I haven't thought of for a long time.
How
Go for it.
fun.
When I was there, it was a really warm winter, and so it was raining, and I needed to buy an umbrella, and there was a man on the street selling umbrellas, but he was saying, "Come get your umbrellas, everyone! Come get your umbrellas!" And so ever since then, I always sometimes just in my mind say umbrella instead of umbrella, how I would normally say it.
Sure.
Oh,
how-
that's
I
fun.
carried that umbrella around for a lot of years.
Oh,
I'm not even sure.
nice.
I'm not sure that's even a New York accent. The umbrella.
I don't think it was.
It's just like some.
It just
This is
stuck
what you
with me
heard.
from
Right.
New York.
That's awesome.
When you're an umbrella salesman, sometimes you mix it up to keep it fresh.
You gotta.
So that's
Gotta bring
probably
people
what
in.
it was. And finally,
they-
the last one was Parmesan cheese shaker stolen from restaurant. I don't know. That probably happens more frequently than we think, but I don't think
Yeah.
they call the police on that.
Yeah, that one was the fake one.
Yeah, that was
I believed that one happened all the time, but I was
Right.
calling the
Yeah.
police is a different issue.
Yeah,
So-
it's just a loss.
So I made that one up. Moving on to our last and final group, we have number 1, man dressed as pizza partially blocking sidewalk. Number 2, rooster making noise in apartment. And number 3, toilet seat on fire. No context, which I guess is the best.
Yes, that makes it all the better, right?
I'm not sure if like it doesn't say a bathroom on fire. It just says toilet seat on fire. So
Yeah. Just the seat.
there's a disconnect somewhere.
Yes. Well, what was the first one?
The first one was man dressed as pizza partially blocking the sidewalk.
And the second again?
Second one is rooster making noise in apartment. Another animal call.
See, now I believe the animal ones are going to be all true. And I
That-
believe the pizza one but the other one doesn't seem right either. I'm gonna go with pizza just to have an answer, but they all seem like they could happen.
They all seem like they could happen. You were absolutely right, though.
Yay!
I made that one
That's
up.
the
I
one
got
that he
one
made
right.
up.
Yeah, the man dressed as pizza, partially blocking the sidewalk, is not a real one. I made that one up. I don't think he would last for. I think depending on where he was at, people would probably push him out of the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless he,
That's
see,
probably why they called the police. He was in the way. He was blocking the path.
Mhm.
if he had fallen over and he was
Yeah.
trying to get right himself like a turtle, you know.
And then you're the clue that there wasn't enough context for number 3. That kind of
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no prize, so I don't mind chipping in a little bit, but it is
Well,
a funny one. The idea that the toilet seat was on fire, but nothing else was on fire. just the
yes,
toilet
that
seat.
is.
Bizarre.
Yeah. So
I
that
gotta
was
get
that.
this for my area. Sounds like a fun app.
Yeah, it's
is.
pretty great.
Yeah, as long as you don't get any of the real crazy ones, it's there are some fun things that come up. A lot
Yeah.
of foolishness. But that's that. That was that round. Let's move straight into honorary New Yorker quiz.
All right. So this is where we're going to ask you some questions about New York City and see if you can be an honorary New Yorker. Okay. You ready for it?
I am. I'm not, well,
All
I
right.
would not do very good. But
No. You're going to do great. Here we go.
You got one
Uh,
right already, so you're
Yeah.
in a good spot.
We're great. All right. What's the difference between Grand Central Station and Grand Central Terminal?
a terminal is this where the train stops at, whereas the station is where a bunch of trains come in at. So if I'm getting off, I'm totally making this up. If I want to get off at Grand Central Station, I get off at the Central Terminal. But if I'm going somewhere else, then I go to Grand Central Station, and then I go from Grand Central Station to somewhere else.
Okay. Kris, you want to take this one?
That's more or less correct. I sort of lost you towards the end of your explanation, but that's absolutely
So did
right.
I.
The terminal is a stopping point or destination for a train, whether it be the Long Island Railroad or the Amtrak or whatever else. And the station is where the subway would drop you off. Best way to think of it is New Yorkers will call it Grand Central Station, and people that are coming in from out of town or from New Jersey or Long Island or upstate will call it Grand Central Terminal, because that's what it's called on their train information.
Yeah.
It's just basically layered. Like one layer is like one floor, or the basement is for the Amtrak, and the other one's for the subway. But it's all in the same building, and that's the difference. And you got it right.
Yeah. So they're pretty good. See? You never know.
Ridden a few trains before. I
Yeah.
learned you
There
have
you
to
go.
push through to get on those things.
That's
Especially
true
in New York.
too. That's true
Yeah.
as well.
I tried doing that in Salt Lake. It doesn't work. You have to be nice.
I wish that was the case. I'd much rather just be nice, but sometimes it requires you to just like strong arm people. I try to
never
be
get on sometimes.
I
if you
try to
don't.
be gentle, but it's just like, what am I gonna do? Oh, and this is all past tense. I haven't worked in like a year, so
We have
Yeah,
not
I've
taken
been
the
in the
subway
train
for a
all the
while. All right. Next question. How much does it cost to adopt a bench in Central Park? So you can get like a plaque on the bench to say who it's for. How much do you think that costs?
Is this like a monthly rate, annual rate?
it's a
Or is it
donation.
Just
It's just a
It's-
one-time donation.
one-time donation. $1,500.
Ooh, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
$10,000.
Yeah.
A little off.
So you're not going to see a bench there that says our name on it.
If they were $1,500, there'd probably be a lot more benches, because people
A
would
lot.
probably just do that. And surprisingly, there
Yeah.
still are a lot of benches, even though it costs so much. There are 10,000. 10,000 total benches in New York
Mhm.
City. So think about it, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
10,000 park
benches.
benches.
It's a lot of park
Mhm.
benches.
Oh,
It's pretty great.
that's awesome.
It's a big park.
And they all have dedication or little plaques on them.
I don't think all of them do, but there's definitely in the main rows. I believe a lot of those
Yeah.
have them, but I don't believe they all do quite yet.
I'm thinking of
Like-
like in what's that movie, Enchanted, where they do
Yeah.
the dance. Is that one of the rows that has
Probably.
Yeah, that's
yeah, 'cause
the-
that's gonna be
the-
like one of the main ones, the mall.
The mall in Central Park.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
All right. So that one was a pretty crazy one, right? All right. So next one. I think you're going to nail this one. All right. You're definitely going to.
Here we go.
In Home Alone 2, how much was Kevin's room service bill? So let me give you a little bit of a tip of what was on that bill. All right. So maybe you can start doing some math.
You could do the math. if you
Okay.
want.
So there's 2 chocolate cakes, 6 chocolate mousses, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream, topped with M&Ms, chocolate sprinkles, cherries, nuts, marshmallows, caramel syrup, chocolate syrup, strawberry syrup, whipped cream, and bananas. You got 6 custard flans, a pastry cart, 8 strawberry tarts, and 36 chocolate covered strawberries. That's a lot.
Did you get the fresh cheese pizza just for me?
No, that was
No,
just for
that's
room
in
service.
that was in the limo. So this is just for the room service
Just
bill.
for the room service. Okay.
Yes, it was all the sweets
this
that he
is
had.
just room service. This doesn't include the room.
No, not the
No,
room.
just the room
Just the room
service.
service.
I think is it $367?
Oh
I
man.
don't know. Like, I mean, I think of it. 800? I don't know.
You're so close.
It was
You're so
nuts
close.
how close you were just then.
Yeah. So it's 900, but it was 967 and 43
67, I
cents.
think
So that 67 was definitely sticking in your
So-
head.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
And that would have been the hardest part for me is figuring out the second half. So you got like the harder part. So $967
Yeah.
43
Yeah,
cents.
okay.
Yeah. So very good. But you remembered half of that. I kind of figured those little tidbits would be in there. So good job. Yeah. I feel like you got like 1.5 right.
Yeah. 1.5. And then what I get like a 10th on the bench one?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll give you that. 10. Awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna say yes, you are an honorary New Yorker,
wow.
sir. Woo!
So honored.
All right, and this brings us to our next section called Did You Forget About It? All right, so these are going to be things that we have spoken about already while we've been talking to you. Let's see if you can pull those things out and remember them. Okay. First up, how many park benches are there in Central
Yeah.
Park?
I knew that was going to be the first one. Well, I don't know.
You got this. You got this. Take a stab at it. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, they're all along the mall. Which we talked about.
There's thousands. Of
Why-
them.
Thousands. Okay. I guess I'll go with 5,000.
10,000.
Ah,
So it's like
10,000.
the same price
I'm
as
all-
it. So $10,000 from, but also 10,000 park benches exist.
I'm sure it didn't help that we
Yeah.
just like loaded you up with like desserts for about 30
Yeah.
seconds to kind of clear
Yeah.
your mind.
Speaking of desserts, let's get back to that for your second question. I need you to name as many sweets from Kevin's room service bill as you can. So we just
Oh,
talked
good.
about them. Let's see
That's
what
a
you
good
can
one.
think.
Flan?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how many?
No.
That's
Okay.
fine.
3?
6. We'll give you half point
6.
there.
What's he gonna do with 6 flans?
I don't know. It's so
Um,
many.
Ice cream scoops because
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not driving.
Mhm.
Whipped cream, you said.
Yep.
Did you say ganache?
I
No.
didn't, but that sounds good.
Okay.
Well, it's chocolate syrup. We'll give you a chocolate syrup and ganache are fairly similar, so I will allow
Yeah.
that. I imagine the Plaza probably has ganache as opposed
Yes.
to chocolate syrup.
Oh, good call.
And cookies, because he takes them. No, those are from the mini bar.
Mm-hmm. Want to take a
I
stab
don't
at one
know.
more of them? What do you think?
Donuts. I'll take a stab at donuts. I don't know.
No,
I
but
don't think
donuts
we
would have been
realized.
great on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were, again, 2 chocolate cakes, 6 chocolate mousses, and then you got the ice cream with all those toppings. And then you got your flan, which you said, the flan, an entire pastry cart, 8 strawberry tarts, and 36 chocolate covered strawberries, which are so many chocolate covered
So many.
strawberries.
A lot.
It's all so much.
So crazy.
Yeah. And
And
all he did was steal the cookies from the mini bar and all
Yeah.
that. Maybe he ate that all.
That's crazy. I mean, I would have.
It's
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's a child's dream, you know.
Yeah.
Yes,
that,
it
Or
is.
my
riding in
dream.
Yeah, it was my dream too. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
That's
All right.
good.
We have one more question for you. Ready?
Yes.
This one will throw you back a little bit.
Uh-oh.
In our December 21st episode, you wrote in asking about the legality of Buddy the Elf cutting down a Christmas tree in Central Park. What was the punishment for removing a tree from a park in New York City? Dun, dun, dun. Bringing back your own
that's a good
question.
one. Oh, good work.
Yeah.
Boy, this is going to be bad, but the first thing that comes to me, like when I'm really thinking about the answer, was that it was a $1,500 fine, but I've already said that. But that's my guess, is a $1,500 fine.
I think you're very close. It's $1,000 fine. So
I
yeah,
thought it was
you're right
something
there.
like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
$1,000 fine and or 90 days in prison. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
hopefully
worth
you get the fine if you do.
yeah, I would pay $1,500 if I could stay out of prison for 90 days.
Yeah.
That's just it.
But $1,000 to cut down a tree. I mean, what an experience.
Yeah, right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Good, though.
I would
Yeah.
hope that people wouldn't do that though. Central Park needs its trees.
Yeah, it does.
There aren't
Take
a
our
lot
trees.
of there aren't a lot of Christmas trees in Central Park. It's
That's
just
true, too.
For the most part, it's just normal trees. So it would be a whole lot of work to trim those things down to get it into
Yeah.
your house.
Good point. All right. So great job. I think you did really good.
Yeah, you're doing really
Um,
good with all these. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So here we are, moving on to our last category, inside Santa's studio. So this will be pretty quick. Just I wouldn't worry too much about them. We can kind of breeze through these, but here we go. Benji, what's your favorite cookie?
Snickerdoodle.
Mm.
Not the first person that said that. I like that. Snickerdoodles are good. What's your least favorite cookie?
That doesn't exist. I
Yes.
like
Nice.
all of them.
That's a
I
good
really
answer.
can't think of one.
Yeah,
That's a good answer. When do you start decorating for the holidays?
Officially around Thanksgiving. Officially.
Yeah,
When
that's
d-
pretty standard.
Yes.
When do you put the decorations away?
Usually January 2nd.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't mean everything goes away. There's still a few things that, but January 2nd is the tradition.
Gotcha.
What's your favorite festive word?
My favorite festive word.
That's a good one. It's a tough one to think about.
Yeah. Like what evokes the
Uh,
most emotion from you? It probably doesn't help.
Let's see. Oh, I can't think of one. That.
That's fine. That works.
There you go.
The
I
little
love it.
You know, I really think, everything from Home Alone. I know it's, a lot of slapstick comedy, but so much of it has so much emotion to me. So I think that any line from Home Alone can do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Home Alone's cool like that too, because as when you're a younger kid, you can kind of relate to certain parts of the movie, and
Mhm.
as you get older, you can relate to totally different aspects of the movie, but still obviously appreciate the younger parts. So the movie kind of
Yes.
grows with you, and then as a parent, it's even more fun because you get to experience that all through your kids. So that's a good one. All right, moving on. What Christmas song do you love?
One that I've gotten into the last few years is called Christmas Every Day, I think it is, by David Archuleta.
Hmm.
If you haven't heard that one, he was on
Of course, American Idol.
American Idol. Yeah, he's from Utah, so Utah tie. But yeah, he has a Christmas song came out a few years ago called Christmas Every Day, and his
Awesome.
whole Christmas album is awesome. But I really like that song. It's kind of unusual.
Cool.
I remember him having a unusual voice for a boy of his age, but he's probably grown into it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I like him a lot more now.
All right.
Still voted for him.
I think we might have voted. That was probably when we were probably voting for people too. We might have voted for him. I don't remember who else was with him, but if we're talking about him, then he basically won. So
He's the one we remember. Then he
Yeah.
won.
no one's talking about Ruben on a Christmas podcast.
Oh, we are now.
We are, oh man. Okay. Ruben gets it too. All right, moving on. What Christmas song do you hate? I know hate's a strong word. Which Christmas song do you like the least?
I know which one it is. I can't think of what it's called, but is it Mariah Carey? What's the one that she's famous for?
Yeah, that one with Mariah Carey. What's it? All I Want for Christmas? That one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I get it.
Really? Are you just annoyed of it, or have you never
too
liked
much.
it?
I know. I
Gotcha.
don't think I ever liked it. I mean, it's a Christmas song, so I liked it a little bit, but
Right.
yeah, it's way too overdone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
All I Want for
overdone.
Christmas is You. Yeah.
She's a little too much for me to deal with, but
I've never cared for Mariah Carey, but I love the song just because it's just a Christmas thing. And like every Christmas playlist that you start, that's usually like the first song that comes up. So I get that it's definitely overplayed. Yeah.
It's
a
not
lot.
even Mariah Carey that I don't like. It's that it's repeated so much.
Yeah.
Which is
I
weird 'cause
definitely
a lot
skip
of Christmas
it.
songs are repeated, but I still that one.
Yeah, I agree. I get you. I still listen
don't
to
know.
it, but I definitely skip that one more than others.
And also Last Christmas.
okay,
Oh,
for sure. I
A lot
could
of
see
people
that.
don't like that one.
I like the original one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's too repeated. So yeah.
gotcha. All right.
So next one. If you were an elf in Santa's workshop, what profession would you like to do?
Historian, of course.
Oh, that's great.
The North Pole historian. Yeah, that'd be it.
That'd be a fun job.
That's
That'd
a
be
really
fun.
great job.
That'd probably be the most interesting elf to talk to, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
What profession would you not like to do?
I thought about this one too. The sleigh mechanic.
Oh, interesting.
I've tried for years and years to be good at mechanics. It's just not in me.
Yeah.
Stop trying. Not in
Yeah.
me. So yeah, when I watch Buddy try and tinker
Yeah.
with the sleigh, it gives me anxiety.
Yeah. I like people usually say like, picking up the reindeer poop or whatever. And that's like probably
I can do
the
that.
job that I would choose.
Yeah,
Like I want to work with the reindeer.
Reindeer,
So-
right.
Yeah, right. Why wouldn't you want
Yeah.
to do that? That's awesome.
And they're magic reindeer, so you can only assume
Yeah.
that maybe it's very easy to clean up. Maybe it floats. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have
Maybe
any
it just
idea.
disappears.
They never
Or
discussed
makes
that.
really good compost.
It
Yeah, there you
probably
go.
does. It probably
It
does.
fertilizes everything that they need. They probably have a little garden
Yeah.
there. That's it. I'm working there. I'm in.
That'll be fun to explain. Well, she quit and just moved up north. She said she was going to get a job
Yeah.
with reindeer.
Canada.
Moving on. Final question. If the North Pole exists, what would you like to hear Santa say when you arrive at the workshop?
I've never thought about it before, but I think that what I would like to hear him say is, "Thank you for believing in me," because whatever whatever belief or level of magic that is, I always still believe. That's important.
Nice.
There's different levels of that.
Sure,
different ages,
absolutely.
but it's important to believe in that.
That's great. That's really lovely.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say. That's what I would
Cool.
hope he would say.
That's a
Great.
fantastic answer. Probably one of the
Mhm.
better answers we've had of that. So congratulations. That was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to promote or talk about or say anything to anyone that you may know that may be listening? This is your opportunity.
I don't have anything to promote. I support all Christmas podcasts and want to encourage and help them and help you all in whatever way I can. So I think that if people want to follow me on Instagram, I do a lot of Christmas posts there, but I also do a lot of other stuff. So that's what is it, Benji Pear 55 find me that way and see some Christmas stuff. But
Awesome.
other than that, no, I just want to encourage people to continue to listen to Christmas podcasts all year long.
Wonderful. Thank you for your
so much.
support.
Especially you that are just tuning in now and the end of the year.
Yeah. Where have you been?
Yeah.
You in the future.
There's so much stuff that we've already done. You need to catch up.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And it's been an absolute joy. I feel like we've gotten to know you over the last year or so, and I'm really happy that we actually still have your Christmas card hanging up on the back of our door.
We
So
sure do.
I see your family almost every day.
So do I. Almost.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for contributing. We really appreciate it. It's really helped us keep going. And sometimes when it's been a little bit harder than other times to record, knowing that we have some questions to answer, we really appreciate it. And that's it. So
Thank you, Benji.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for all that you both do. I really enjoy your work. It's a lot of
Thank
fun.
you.
And we'll probably cut it around there. So then let me stop recording.